City Skylines began with a dream of providing fans disappointed with the direction of the hugely popular SimCity franchise with hope for the future. The game was created by a small team of 13 in Finland called Colossal Order. When the game was first released back in 2015, they had no idea just how popular the game would become. With over 638,888,893 hours played, 72,108,562 cities built, and a population of over 323,624,380,520, which is about 42 Earths. It's safe to say that the small team from Finland knocked it out of the park with City Skylines. But how did this beloved game come to be? It all started with a small independent game developer, Colossal Order, in Tampere, Finland. Colossal Order was founded by 4 developers and their CEO, Marina Helikainen, in 2009. Marina, who had a background studying business at university and no knowledge of the game industry, joined the team to handle the business side of the company and allow the developers to focus on making games. Colossal Order had a dream of one day creating a city builder game for PC. The problem was, with a team of just 4 developers, it was not possible to tackle such a large-scale game with limited funds and resources. Instead, Colossal Order decided to try focus on one aspect of a city builder game, mass transit, and they made their first game, Cities in Motion. The idea was to eventually be able to continue expanding the game and include more and more elements on top of mass transit, once a company was in a position to do so in terms of size, resources, and stability. However, the road to getting Cities in Motion made and published was not smooth. Game development is an expensive business, and without funding, even great ideas can't be made. For Colossal Order, it was not easy to find capital to fund the idea of a business simulation game focused on mass transit. Investors thought that this type of game would not attract a big enough audience to make the investment profitable. Despite this, Colossal Order managed to get funding from a number of different areas, and while they weren't flourishing, they had enough to get by. The investment was enough for the small game development company to create a demo of Cities in Motion, which they could use in marketing themselves to publishers. Colossal Order was also actively seeking advice and support from other already established game development companies, such as Remedy Entertainment and Frozen Byte, to learn more about the game industry and how to start and run a game company. While it was common for new developers to focus on the games and let the business come later, the Finns were focused on the future and tried to stay 5 steps ahead at every turn. The next issue was finding a publisher for Cities in Motion. Colossal Order compared dozens of publishers and after negotiations signed a publishing agreement with Paradox Interactive from Sweden. The partnership between the two companies proved to be a perfect fit business-wise, while Colossal Order retained creative control over games and Paradox Interactive oversaw publishing, testing, sales, marketing, as well as distribution. Finally, Cities in Motion was released in 2011, and in the game, the player takes the role of a transport chief who has been tasked with improving and designing the public transport system in 4 different European cities: Amsterdam, Berlin, Helsinki, and Vienna. The transport chief's main and only worry is the transit system, as the city is self-sufficient and can handle any accidents by itself. The player only needs to pay attention to disasters if it affects the operations of the public transport system. Quite nifty to not have to worry about a whole city. As with City Skylines, Cities in Motion also features a sandbox mode where players are able to create custom-made cities in the map editor, which proved to be a major selling point for the game. Although the sales weren't staggering, the project itself was seen as successful by both Colossal Order and Paradox. This ignited Colossal Order's dream of wanting to create a city builder game, and after the release of Cities in Motion, the studio pitched this idea to Paradox. The developers felt that they had gained the skills needed to expand to a full city simulation game. However, Paradox did not feel that Colossal Order were ready to take on such a huge project, and asked them to hold off on making their city builder game. On the 6th of March 2012, EA announced SimCity. Colossal Order was just a team of 6 and felt that they could not compete with a larger studio behind the game which originated the city builder genre. They were certain SimCity would dominate the market for the next 10 years. Colossal Order opted to continue working on their mass transit simulation and began to develop the sequel to Cities in Motion, not surprisingly called Cities in Motion 2. The sequel was created in Unity, partly because the in-house technology used for the previous title could not be sustained without a large number of resources, and partly because the Unity skills acquired would be useful when building the bigger city simulation game that they dreamed of. With Cities in Motion 2, the studio could explore community-requested features such as day and night cycles and rush hour. Cities in Motion 2 was released in 2013 to mixed reviews. After SimCity was released in 2013, there was still a huge demand in the market for a city builder game, due to SimCity neglecting much of the community-created content that had made SimCity 3000 such a smash hit. Colossal Order seized the opportunity and pitched the city simulation once again. Finally, Paradox gave the green light to Colossal Order to develop the game they had been dreaming of creating. The small team, which had grown to 13 members at that point, was finally ready to take on this huge project with the experience gained from their 2 published games. The city builder game was initially called Colossal Cities, but was later renamed based on the previous series Cities in Motion. It made logical sense for the new city builder game to be named in the same convention, and the city builder game ended up being called City Skylines. With City Skylines, Colossal Order wanted to focus on freedom and flexibility with solid simulations and a big map. The studio made the game for players to provide them with the tools to be creative and make their own cities. This is why the company focused a lot on listening to the community. As CEO Marina Helikainen said in an interview, "The community is the heart and soul of the game. We're just here to give them the tools they want and need to make it their own." When developing City Skylines, it was important to Colossal Order to keep the modding aspects in the game. In Cities in Motion 1, players cracked the game and started to mod as Colossal did not know how to protect their in-house technology. The system was built in a way so that the game developers could go back to the base game system in the future and build on it. However, from this, Colossal saw communities rise through modding and realizing the importance of it to its players. The players provide invaluable feedback on the gameplay to developers. The game is developed using Unity, which is not ideal for modding. Colossal circumvented this problem by removing everything that could be modded from the Unity engine and built on top of the engine to serve their purposes. Modding tools were created alongside the game development in Unity to ease the import and export of mods for players, and Colossal even set aside a programmer who would work just on making the modding tools. Colossal believes that modding and asset creation enriches the gameplay for all players. When City Skylines was finally ready to be released in 2015, Paradox and Colossal saw the potential in viral marketing. With Twitch streaming and YouTube becoming popular in the recent years, there was an opportunity to capitalize by giving out a polished City Skylines early to YouTubers and streamers. They had 1 week to play and 1 week to then stream or make Let's Play videos. This pushed City Skylines to be the second most viewed game in that week on Twitch, and provided an incredibly successful way of marketing the game. The game is perfectly suited for streaming, with the gameplay being slow-paced, allowing the player to explain their actions to the audience. City Skylines was released on the 10th of March 2015 and sold 250,000 copies within its first 24 hours, and then went on to sell 1 million copies within the first 5 weeks, to overwhelmingly positive reviews. Colossal Order did not expect this, as their target had been 300,000 copies sold in the game's lifetime, as their 2 previous titles had sold roughly that together. After the successful launch, Colossal Order started to work on creating the features that the game lacked. The first DLC to be released was After Dark, which incorporated features relating to the day and night cycle, which was introduced to the game after the first patch, as players had been requesting it. This was well received by the audience, and 10 DLCs have since followed, with the latest releasing on the 26th of March 2020, called Sunset Harbor, which added new features such as the fishing industry and new mass transit options. And Colossal Order is still continuing to work on new content and modding tools, and improving the game. Who knows where it'll end up? Not only is City Skylines used for fun, but it has already had some real-world applications. Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, used City Skylines to plan a new sustainable transport system in the city area. They have even released an educational version of City Skylines in 2018 to teach civics lessons covering topics such as sustainable city planning. As of 2020, the game has also launched on console, with Xbox One, PS4 and Switch players now also getting access to the game. 5 years after launch, and the game is thriving, with a loyal fanbase that are eager to continue building and experimenting with the game. So what will the future hold? Perhaps more DLC? Perhaps multiplayer? Or maybe even City Skylines 2? Whatever happens, it is clear that the little team from Finland truly did conquer the genre and build a game that has made the history books.